Hey, peace, boxing fans. Thanks for pressing play on another Bite Down Boxing video. I'm the host of the Bite Down Boxing podcast, Wood. We just got done checking out, for those of us that were watching boxing tonight, Jose Uzcategui, Uzcategui. I think I might just refer to him as Bolavita moving here forward. But him taking on Caleb Plant. And hell of a fight by Caleb Plant. Hell of a fight. Hell of a game plan, executed well, and just delivered tonight. I'm trying to keep this one kind of simple. One thing I want to hit on first. Shout out to the PBC for the promotion, because my mother, who isn't even a casual, but we watched quite a few fights together over the years. But my 71-year-old mother reached out to me before the fight, after the NFL playoff games, asking me if I was going to watch the fight. She was familiar with Caleb Plant's backstory, made some comments about what was, some of the words back and forth between the camps leading up to the fight. So she had a good pulse on where this fight was going into it, and that's largely because of the promotion that we saw on during the football games, the NFL games, with this being on FS1. So great job on them for familiarizing the audience with who we were going to be watching tonight. Overall, though, the cards, I don't know if they really, the prelim show, the opening bouts for, Joey Spencer out there, Omar, or Brandon Figueroa. I don't know where those sit with some fans, but the main event did what it was supposed to do. Secondly, before I get to the fight, I hate to be critical of the on-air people. With Mancini, I can't even remember the gentleman, the Fox guy who is the main commentator. I want to say Rose, but Rose is the guy that's on the NFL Network, and then Anthony Durrell. Just they came at it more from a fan perspective all night long. Not so much Darrell, but definitely Mancini. And he said that when I heard him on at the fights Friday night. He was like, "I'm just a fan. I'm saying fan stuff." And so I thought the analysis could have been could have been better. And Darrell called out some things from a current fighter's perspective that added value. But the main commentator. But like I said, he's a Fox fixture, on a lot of their sports. So that's why he's there. But let's get into the fight, man. I had it. What I have? I believe I had it 116, 110. Giving Bolavita the last 4 rounds. Basically, if I had to sum it up, he really didn't compete well tonight. And they mentioned something about him coming in a couple of pounds under versus being right on 168. They did show some of Bolavita's training before the fight on the PBC, some of the shoulder programming leading up to it. So they did show some of that. And I'm wondering, if sometimes when you have too much available, you do too much, with some of the recuperation stuff that he did and getting in the gym, with him spending a good deal of his time in San Diego. Maybe he had too much stuff available to him, and maybe he overindulged on, getting it together. But very early, Caleb Plant took control of the action, took control of the pace of the fight. His offense his output was better than what I've seen recently. I didn't have any of the concerns that I mentioned in my preview. He fought a hell of a fight. Got the knockdown in the second round, and then again in the fourth round. Bolavita headhunting most of the night until at least into the 6th round when he finally started jabbing a little bit. One thing that caught my attention was how bad his footwork was. He was often throwing that right hand, leaning forward with his right foot kind of coming forward at the same time, or even just stepping with it. But just leaning his chin out there as he was throwing that right hand and just being off balance a little bit and just not having a good foundation for the punch. So I didn't really understand what he had going on right there. Like I said, no jabbing. I told you in the preview that Caleb Plant would use his feet more for defense versus just trying to react and doing, just comparing him to Andre Durrell, who had that wider stance and was using his body lean and looking to, use his reflexes and reaction to avoid Bolavita's offense. But here, Plant was just moving his feet, staying, pretty slick with slipping shots and making him miss and whatnot. But again, no jab from Uzcategui all night long. By the time he did start landing some of his better power, he was tired and fatigued. Plant definitely looked like he sustained more of the damage in the fight, but didn't. It was a little different to see him bleeding as much, bleeding from the nose, the cut, which might have come from an elbow or a butt early on. They never really made a big deal of it. But great action, man. I mean, Plant was great with his left hook. Body work, he did just enough of the body work to make that a significant part of the game and be effective in that area. What else? Basically, like I said, he just controlled action. Some other notes that I had is when in the 8th round, I thought it was great that he changed up the real estate of the fight, moving inside, kind of giving Bolavita a different look and, different skill set, fighting inside, shoulder to shoulder or chest to shoulder. Being in the middle of the ring, but he was able to slip off and get to angles and whatnot, work the body up top and mix it up. And basically that's just the issue here, the drawback for Uzcategui was that he didn't have the sophistication offensively to really do anything, and stop Plant. And he was headhunting a lot. Conversely, Plant was, changed up his game at times, changed up his strategy, changed up his pace, came forward when he needed to, stood his ground when he needed to, got his respect early with the 2 knockdowns. And then when it got to the inside fighting, Uzcategui had no answers there whatsoever. So I thought it was smart to come back. He started that at the end of one of the rounds. Might have been round. He started it at the end of 8. And then seeing how successful he was there, came back to it early in the 9th round and really bought himself a lot of time, burned a lot of time on the clock. He wasn't looking for the stop to stop Uzcategui. So I thought it was just well fought. He listened to his team. I thought his team gave him excellent direction and information to guide him through to this victory. Uzcategui had his best right hand in that 10th round with his best 1-2, but just not enough. Like I said, completely not enough sophistication in this game and just not enough competitiveness. Mancini finally stumbled across it with urgency. There was no sense of urgency, and that's one thing about championship fighting and fighting in general. You want to, if a guy gets, I was dumbfounded that here it is, you talked all this stuff and what Caleb Plant was and wasn't, but then you never showed there was never any impetus or any any urgency to get back, after you've been knocked down twice. And on that second one, he said he was pushed down when he clearly wasn't. That was a left hook off of a right hook, left hook, and then a left body hook, and then a left hook up top. So just to not want to get back, kind of let me know, at least what was coming for the next few rounds when you just don't want to pay your opponent back. So good fight though. Like I said, I think it was a good introduction to fans for Caleb Plant. If we want to keep it funky, it doesn't hurt that he has that. I think Paulie Malignaggi told me complexion for affection, or whatever phrase he used. But Sweet Hands can fight. He can flat out fight, and he did so. He won the fight convincingly. Took down a world champion in his first time on the on the world class level, and sets up some interesting action moving forward. So salute to him, keeping on fulfilling his promise to his late daughter, Aliya. That was very touching part of the telecast. And, like I said, just to finish up my thoughts on the fight, he finished up the fight real smart in that 12th round, doing more than enough, to make sure that he secured the victory and didn't allow Bolavita to do something late. But we didn't see that urgency, no real sense of desperation. We compete differently here in America, and sometimes in some of these different countries that fighters come from, to see how the level of competition, he had some success when he mixed it up and made it a little ugly, but he didn't do that nearly enough. So like I said, all in all, good show, great fight. I hope those that hung around or switched over from the football games over on Fox and came over to FS1, I hope you had a great experience with boxing. And look forward to checking out the rest of the PBC on Fox, the rest of that schedule. I won't get into all of that here. Please subscribe to the channel. If you liked anything that I said, hit that like button for me, please. Leave some comments if you want to chop it up more. And like I said, check out the Bite Down Boxing podcast on the Team Left Jab, allnightboxing.com. You can check me out there in the lineup. It's a dozen or so different shows there. Here on the Pay Me No Mind YouTube channel. And that's about it. Like I said, my name is Wood. As I always say finish everything. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Peace.